Hello, everybody, and welcome to our inference masterclass that we're running today. Welcome, everyone. Thank you all for joining. My name is Lois, and I'm going to be taking you all through this masterclass today. As you can see, we've got one main topic to focus on today, which is inference. And the way this is going to work today is we're going to work through some bits of information about what inference is, how it works, different types of inference. We're going to do lots of little tasks to go along to help practice. So by the end, you should be a real expert with your inference skills. So we're going to start with an hour of the class, and then at 1 o'clock, we will have a 15-minute Q&A session for parents. So students, obviously, this is your hour for learning and for engaging with the tasks and the session. And then the final 15 minutes will be for parents who want to ask us any queries about 11 plus, about inference, about English, whatever it may be. So if anyone wants to join, please do then. And just another quick thing before we get started, there will be plenty of opportunity for you all to get involved with the class. I'm going to give lots of questions and things for you to do. So please do use our chat, the Zoom chat, to put your answers in. If you send the messages just to me, so type in Lois, 11 plus English tutor, just select me, then I'll be able to see your answers and read some of them out and give my opinion and give my feedback as we go. So do get involved. That, I think, is everything. So let's get started. Okay, so inference. What is inference? Now, I've got a couple of pictures on the screen here to get us started with inference. These actually give us a bit of an idea of what it is right away. So as you can see, in this first picture on the left, you've got a mum asking, where did my coffee go? And then you've got the boy who's sort of in a state of crazy energized excitement. So this is an illustration of how inference works. Can any of you already, perhaps put this in the chat if you can think of anything, figure out what we can infer from that picture? Can we work something out? Can we put the clues together to figure out what has happened? Look and see if anyone puts anything in the chat so we can see what has happened here. Because with an inference, you're looking at the clues that you get given and you're trying to figure out the most reasonable explanation. So, good, I can see lots of answers saying the same thing. The boy drank the coffee. Yes, exactly. That is what has happened here. The boy has drunk the coffee. You can see that he's gone, in this state of crazy energy. The mum's coffee is missing. He's drunk it. So that's inference. We're looking at the illustration of the boy. We're looking at what the mum said, and we're putting the two together. Now, try this one on the right. You've got, this is a Calvin and Hobbes illustration. I don't know if anybody knows Calvin and Hobbes. Fantastic cartoon. So on the left, you've got Calvin at the top of a stepladder. And then you've got Hobbes, his tiger, who says, better hurry, your mum's yelling something. So, what do you think she's yelling? Use your inference skills to figure out what the mum could be yelling. What can we figure out? What can we kind of suss out must have happened? Sorry, not must have happened. What must the mum be saying based on what you can see here? Look at some of the answers. Good. I mean, you're all picking up the mum is saying, stop, what are you doing, Calvin? Because of course he's about to jump backwards into a tiny paddling pool. So yeah, we can figure out from the way he's standing, from the pool, from the speech, we can figure out what's going on. We can use the clues to understand the meaning. So this is what inference is. We do it with pictures, but of course you're going to be doing it with text, but it's the same skill. You're still looking at the clues and figuring out what's going on, figuring out what's in between the lines. So here's a bit of a definition for you all here, first of all. So what is inference? It's a very important skill in comprehension. And as I said, it involves reading between the lines to consider what a writer is not saying. So with inference, you're not always going to get told exactly what's going on. You've got to figure it out from the clues. And we've got different skills that you can practice to help your inference skills. And we're going to do a little bit of each of these today: deduction, speculation, and examination. So there's a slight difference between all of these, but they're all fairly similar. They're all about inference, looking at the clues and figuring out what else we can learn based on the clues. So we're going to start off today, first of all, with deduction. So deduction is a form of inference. This is where you're working something out based on clear, solid evidence. So you're not really being like, oh, it could be this or it could be that. You're saying, no, it must be that because it says that. So these are very clear inferences where you can't really question it. So you're going to be using in your answer, you're going to have a word like must to show that your conclusions are clear. So let's start off with a short extract today from a novel that I'm sure you're all familiar with, or I'm sure you all have read it, from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. This is, famous Roald Dahl story. I've got a little passage here for you from it. And what we're going to do is we're going to read it through, and then I want you to figure out what you can deduce about Charlie's life based on the evidence. So what can you deduce? What details do you get in the text that tell you a very clear conclusion about his life? All right, let's read. So I'm just going to grab my glass of water and then we shall read. Okay, right. So let's start. We'll read through the passage, start looking for facts and details that can tell you something about his life. So here we go. The whole of this family, the six grown-ups, count them, and little Charlie Bucket, lived together in a small wooden house on the edge of a great town. The house wasn't nearly large enough for so many people, and life was extremely uncomfortable for them all. There were only two rooms in the place altogether, and there was only one bed. The bed was given to the four old grandparents because they were so old and tired. They were so tired they never got out of it. Grandpa Joe and Grandma Josephine on this side, Grandpa George and Grandma Georgina on this side. Mr. and Mrs. Bucket and little Charlie Bucket slept in the other room, upon mattresses on the floor. In the summertime, this wasn't too bad, but in the winter, freezing cold drafts blew across the floor all night long, and it was awful. There wasn't any question of them being able to buy a better house or even one more bed to sleep in. They were far too poor for that. So, from this passage, what can you deduce about Charlie's life? You've got to make really clear conclusions based on the facts. What can we deduce? Now, I'll start having a look through some of your answers. Okay, I can see a couple already. Remember, for this, you're making conclusions that are very hard to disagree with, right? They've got to be very clear. They've got to be based exactly in what the text tells us. Okay, so we've got here, his life was not the best. Yes, it says there were only two rooms, only one bed, which tells us they're far too poor. I mean, good, yes. So the small size of his house, the lack of furniture, that definitely tells us that they are quite a poor family. Yeah, lots of you are pointing out that he is poor. Um, their house is very cold. Yes. He doesn't live in nice conditions. Excellent. They are poor. Their house is cold. Yes, he lives in a small wooden house. I think most of you are picking up the main thing, which is that they were poor. They could not afford how much they need for seven people. Yeah, that's very true because they're all cramped in together. No bed, no heating, poor family, small house. Excellent. They can't afford many important things. Yeah, good. So if you've picked up any of these things, let's go on to the next page here. So I think some of you had some of these points. So a lot of you said that they're poor. Yes, undoubtedly they are poor. That's very, very clearly stated. Number two, they don't have a lot of space. Some of you said that as well. House is not well insulated. Yeah, a lot of you picked up on it being a cold house. They don't have much money. And then the last thing as well was the grandparents are in poor health. That was another thing to mention. I don't think I saw that. Most of you focused on the size of the house and things like that. Let's just see if anyone mentioned the grandparents. Okay, well, yeah, you picked up on most of the other things about them being poor and having not a lot of heat, not a lot of comfort. So these are confident and clear conclusions, right? There's no doubt in our minds that these are true. As I said, these are clear facts. They're supported by specific words and phrases in the text. There would be no way that you could be like, oh, he's rich. No, he's clearly poor. We can infer that very clearly. So now, oh, and yeah, I've highlighted some of these things as well for you. So you can see some of the clear statements. Life was extremely uncomfortable, only two rooms in the place. They were so old and tired. There were freezing cold drafts in the house, and then they were far too poor to be able to buy a better one. So yeah, can make very clear deductions. So now let's do something different. Let's try speculation. So deductions is when you're looking at the sort of clearest facts and making clear conclusions that you can't really argue with. Speculation is a little bit broader than that. Sometimes when you speculate, you don't have to always have as much evidence as you need for deduction. You might make your speculations based on smaller pieces of evidence or slightly more loose pieces of evidence. So you're going to be making broader assumptions about the characters here. It might be that there's an absence of a specific piece of evidence, but you might be able to base it in something of what you've read, but you don't know everything. You just know some things, but you don't know everything. So it's a might now. For deduction, it was must. Speculation, it's might. This might happen. So, same passage again, can we, and I won't read it again, but can we speculate about Charlie's life? We know that they're poor. We know that they only have one room. We know that the grandparents are in bad health. We know that they only have one bed. Now, can we speculate beyond that? Can we go into anything more that we can maybe guess based on what else we've been told? If you could use the chat rather than putting your hands up, please, it's just easier. Um, and just send the messages directly to me. And if you send them directly to me, then no one can see them, just me. Okay, here's a good speculation. This is FA. I'm not sure what the full name is, but FA. They might not have a job that pays well. Good, exactly. That's a speculation. We haven't been told anything about the job, right? The job is never mentioned. But we can speculate, well, it's probably quite a bad job. It's probably something, maybe they don't have a job at all, or maybe their job isn't very good. We're not given any information about their job, so we've got to just speculate. Okay, what else do we have? Let's see if any more speculations. Zaraf, you said they might not have a job. Yeah, exactly. That's a speculation because there's no mention of the job. It doesn't say they were all home every day, nobody was working. It doesn't say that. We're speculating. Joseph, you said only the father works. Yeah, that could be possible. They have a poor pay rate. Yes, good. Okay, now lots of you are talking about them having jobs they couldn't pay their bills. Yes. Think about what else that you've learned besides just the job. If you look in this sentence 1, 2, 3, 4, in the fourth paragraph down, when you see parents and Charlie sleeping on mattresses in the other room, what can you speculate about that? What might that prove to you about the parents, about Charlie? Oh, here's another point here from Vihana, I think, Vihana. You said that they probably don't have food or medication. Yeah, which exactly means that stops the grandparents from getting well and getting out of bed. Perhaps they don't have any education. Yes. Anyone want to pick up anything from the fact that the parents and Charlie sleep on mattresses? What does that tell you about them? I'm just going to re share the screen because I think there might be an issue with some people seeing the slide. I'm just going to do it again. Hope that it refreshes so everyone can see it again. Okay, good. Here's a good speculation here from Ray Hankari. You said they don't have beds, they sacrifice their bed for the grandparents. Yes, exactly, exactly. That's a good one. We can speculate that they are generous people who give up their bed for the grandparents. Obviously, it doesn't tell us that, but we can speculate about it. Herman, you said they'll get sick. I mean, yes, it's quite likely that they're going to get sick more often because of their bad conditions. Seeing if there's any more speculations. Yeah, they might be quite thin. That's a good point, Rosa, because they've not had enough to eat. Um, Hang on, let's see one here from Ronak. You said they might have had a bad fight that got them sick. Yeah, that's true. That is true. I mean, they're obviously old as well, which might be why they are in bed. But yeah, there's been something that's happened that's got them sick. Jay has also said they have no way to pay to get well if they're sick. That's a very good point. Yes, we can definitely speculate about that. Kavia has said, or Kavia has said they might sleep in the kitchen. Yeah, that's true because you're right. They are only two rooms, so maybe they're sleeping in the kitchen. Sarah has said maybe the parents care and they want to help the grandparents. Yeah, that's very true. We're speculating that. Kian has said something very similar. The parents are kind. Yeah, exactly. They might be sacrificing any money from their grandparents' food. Yeah. See, I like how you're now all using might, because might definitely shows, well, I don't know this for sure, but it would make a lot of sense. Mena has said they are poor, they've probably not had an education. They might be saving up to get a home. That's very true, and that's maybe why they can't spend any money on how they live now. Okay, very good. So a lot of what you've said here are these are now we're getting into our speculations. So we're not exactly 100% sure because the details aren't all there, but we have enough information that we can assume that that could be quite possible. Okay, so here are some of the things that I've said, and some of you guys got these things, but there are a couple of other details as well. So, as I said, these are broader assumptions that don't necessarily require specific evidence. So here are some of the things that you could have had. I think some of you said something similar to this. The parents and the family might have fallen on hard times, right? Something's happened to put them in this position. We don't know that they've been poor forever, but maybe they lost money, maybe they became sick, something like that. I can see people are putting your hands up. I'm not going to do the hands up thing. I'm just going to use the chat. If you do want to say something, please use the chat. Um, because otherwise there's too many people who want to speak. It's going to be a little bit difficult. So if you do have a question, please put it in the chat. Um, I've put number two, the grandparents might be lazy. I mean, that's a little bit rude, a little bit cruel, I suppose, to say, but it's still a speculation. You know, you can see that they never get up, they're always in bed. Is that because they are actually sick or maybe because they're lazy? I mean, I don't know if anybody's read the rest of the book or the film, but as soon as Grandpa Joe finds out that Charlie's going to go to the factory, he gets right out of bed and he's ready to go to the factory. So is he really ill or is he just being lazy? That's my question. Then number three, the family might be close. They all live together, so maybe they are close. Maybe they know each other all well. A lot of you said that Mr. and Mrs. Bucket are generous people. They give up their bed for their parents. And then Charlie might be unhappy about being the only child. He's the only child, and there's his grandparents and his two parents. He's the only child in a family of six adults. So it's likely that he would be quite miserable about that. Okay, let me just see if there's anything else that you guys have said that I need to add. Okay, I think I've covered most of these things. This is a good one from Aira. You've said, or Ira. People in the town don't help because they're not being noticed. I mean, that's a very good point. They live on the outskirts of the town, which probably means that they might not have any close neighbors. They might be a bit isolated or a bit neglected. Maybe they gambled the money. Yeah, quite possibly. They might be lazy because of the lack of food. That's a very good point. Yeah, maybe they're not actually lazy. They just don't have any energy. Maybe no one sees them. Yeah, because they live so like kind of far away from everybody else. Just to say again, I saw a message. The masterclass ends at 1, and then there's going to be a Q&A until 1:15. So the whole thing will be done by 1:15. Okay, yeah. Karthik, you said they might not have any friends because no one's helping. That's very true. Yeah. This is again good speculation. We don't know why, we don't know if they have people that could help them that don't. They seem isolated. They seem perhaps a little bit neglected. Okay, so these are now our speculations. So let's try now a bit of examination. This is where we're going to think most thoroughly about the text. So we've deduced, we've found the clear conclusions. We've speculated, we've thought about what could be possible, what might have happened based on the evidence that we have, and beyond that as well. Now, examination, this is where we are now going to directly refer to the text and provide that evidence when we provide our inference. And for this, we're going to be using a bit of PEE. Now, I'm hoping that some of you will already be familiar with PEE. I'm guessing some of you have heard of it. It's quite commonly used in schools. I'm guessing some of you will know it. But PEE, this is how you're going to structure your answer. So you're going to write your point. So I can infer that Charlie is blank. Evidence, this is where you quote. You say, I know this because the text says, and then you quote. And then explanation, this is where you say why that piece of evidence led you to your conclusion. This tells me that, or this helps me to understand Charlie is this because so and so. So your explanation should be the longest part of your answer. That's where you should really be going into detail about how you've come to your conclusion. So we'll be having a little practice of this in just a second. Okay. Right, so I've got another passage for us to read this time. It's again still from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, but we're going to read this short passage, and then you're going to all pick out something from the text about Charlie and try and we'll use that in a PEE paragraph to explain what you can infer about his character based on the text. So let's read it first and then start identifying those little clues in the text that show you something of his character. All right, here we go. So, only once a year on his birthday did Charlie Bucket ever get to taste a bit of chocolate. The whole family saved up their money for that special occasion, and when the great day arrived, Charlie was always presented with one small chocolate bar to eat all by himself. And each time he received it, on those marvelous birthday mornings, he would place it carefully in a small wooden box that he owned and treasure it as though it were a bar of solid gold. And for the next few days, he would allow himself only to look at it, but never to touch it. Then, at last, when he could stand it no longer, he would peel back a tiny bit of the paper wrapping at one corner to expose a tiny bit of chocolate. Then he would take a tiny nibble, just enough to allow the lovely sweet taste spread out slowly over his tongue. Then, the next day, he would take another tiny nibble, and so on and so on. And in this way, Charlie would make his sixpenny bar of birthday chocolate last him for more than a month. Okay, so this is a good passage here. It shows us quite a lot about Charlie's character. So what I would like you all to do is select your piece of evidence first. Choose your quotation. And in your answer, I want you to write it like this. You're going to write, I know that Charlie is blank. That's the first part. Then you're going to write, I know this because the text says, and then you're going to quote directly from the text. And then you're going to explain why have you chosen that particular quote and what does it prove about Charlie. So give this a try, and I'm going to start looking through the chat and see what you come up with about Charlie and your inference. Now I can see some of the points that you've put, but I want you to make sure that you directly quote from the text. Just going to give everyone a second because I think people need to write these things down first. Just going through to see if I've missed anything. Okay, I can see people putting your points and your evidence. So I'll just give everyone a moment so that we can read the full thing. Okay, so let me read some of these out. We'll start off, I'm just going to go along here. Okay, so Yogini, you've said that your point here is Charlie is very careful. And you said the text says, or it says, he would place the chocolate in a wooden box. This means he barely gets to eat chocolate. Yes, so he's very careful with chocolate. So by placing it in the wooden box, you want to explain a little bit more. The wooden box is there to protect it, right? He protects it, he treasures it because it's very rare that he gets to have it. Okay, but good. Okay, just seeing if I can find another. Okay, good. This is a good one from Shambika. So you've said Charlie is grateful. So that's your point. And secondly, you've said, I know this because it says in the text that Charlie would make one bar of chocolate last a month. Yes, good. He treats it like gold. Yes, he does. He treats it like it's something that's, the most precious thing. One tiny bit is enough every day, isn't it? Okay, let's have a look. I'm trying to look for answers that are kind of complete. All right, here's one. So I know Charlie is really happy and protective during his birthday. The text says he gets chocolate once a year and he only nibbles a bit of the chocolate, which shows how much he likes the chocolate because he makes it last more than a month and he protects it. Good. Yes, excellent. You can tell that he's someone who really values it and will make the most of it. Good. Herman, you said my point is that he's poor, and evidence is that he treats the chocolate like gold. Good. Maybe you need a little bit of an explanation to add on to that, Herman. You could, say that this shows that a sweet treat, something that he gets to eat is more precious to him than it would be for someone who had more money. So see if you can maybe explain a bit more that. Okay, let's see what else points we get. Okay, Yusra, you've said Charlie is grateful. As the text says, he treasured the chocolate bar as though it were a bar of gold. He valued the chocolate bar and waited for the whole year. Yes, good, excellent. That's true. He does wait the whole year to get that chocolate. And you're right, he treats it was a bar of gold. Okay, let's see what else we have. Okay, this is Asia. You've said it, Asia. I know that Charlie loves chocolate but because he doesn't get it every day, he slowly eats it. I know this because it says Charlie would only allow himself to look at it. He'd never touch it. Only until he couldn't take it any longer, he would take tiny nibbles. This shows he values the chocolate too. Yes, good. You're right. He's savoring it, isn't he? Okay, similar one here from Lewis. I know that Charlie loves chocolate because in the text it says he only takes a tiny nibble every day so he can have it for a month. Yes, excellent. He's again savoring it very, very carefully. Okay, lots of good answers here. I'll just read a couple more. These, a lot of them are quite similar, but they're all, yeah, if you've done something like this, then that's exactly the right thing. So, Kavya, you said, I know that Charlie's very thankful. I know this because the text says his sixpenny birthday chocolate lasts for more than a month. This tells me he never wants more and makes the thing he is grateful for last a long time. Yeah, good. Nice explanation there. Shrikar, this is interesting. Yes, your point is that Charlie is eager and I think it's impatient is the word you're looking for there. In the text, it says he could stand it no longer. This shows he's eager to get the chocolate and he's impatient to wait for months. Yeah, I mean, that's true, although he is quite patient, but then there comes to a point when his patience runs out, doesn't there? Okay. Good. All right. Let me go on and show you some of my answers. I mean, they're all, I can see some really nice points that you guys have all put. I think you've all put something along these similar lines. So here are some of the points that I've made here. Now, I have done three. The middle one, I kind of tried to do something a little bit different. A lot of you have said something similar to this first one. So for the first one, my inference was Charlie is a restrained and patient child, which some of you have also said, like he really waits for a long time. The evidence is the text states he would allow himself to only look at it, but never to touch it. And then my explanation, I've said the use of the word never shows that he is very strict with himself and does not give in to the temptation of the chocolate easily. So for that one, you can see I've even picked out a little word, an extra word that helps me to conclude my inference more clearly. Okay, now my second one, I've said the inference was that Charlie is very loved by his family. I don't think anybody really said that. So this is another one. If you did, I do apologize. I must have missed it. Um, so Charlie is loved by his family. Evidence was the text states the whole family saved up their money for that special occasion. So yeah, that shows us that they clearly all want him to have a special day. And my explanation was Charlie's birthday is viewed as special by the rest of the family, who want to treat him by devoting all their spare money to give him a gift. So there we are. And then lastly, I have done my inference, which was Charlie is a frugal boy. Frugal means someone who is obviously not going to splash out and spend their money lavishly, someone who really takes care over their money and their belongings. My evidence was that Charlie would peel back a tiny bit of the paper to show just a tiny bit of the chocolate and would take a tiny nibble. Now, I just want to add my explanation here. I wonder if anybody can notice there's the repetition of a key word in the quotations that I've used for my third point. Can anyone spot the word that's being repeated? Yeah, good. The word tiny. So we get it tiny, tiny. So that shows us that he is really able to, live off of a tiny bit. So I'm going to add here for my explanation, I can add that. I can explain what that adds to my inference. So the repetition of tiny emphasizes that he can use the smallest amount at a time and make chocolate last as long as possible. Okay, good. All right. So we have done some deduction, picking out the clear details from the text and making sure that we could come to very, very clear conclusions. Then we've done speculation, where we've kind of gone a little bit more broad. We could suggest that, or it might be this, or something like that. Then lastly, we've done examination. We've made a clear point, we've backed it up with evidence, and then we've explained how that evidence proves our point. So what we're going to do now is I've got one more. I'm going to just go on a little bit to my next page. Yeah, we're going to do one more inference page about from this Willy Wonka Charlie and the Chocolate Factory book, and then we're going to have a look at some multiple choice questions if we have time as well. So I have put another passage for you, and it's on this page here. Okay, so this passage, as I said, it also comes from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. This is the moment when, if you've read the book, Willy Wonka announces in the newspaper the competition to get the golden tickets to be able to enter into his factory. So let's read it. And the question you're going to be asking yourself is, what can you infer about Willy Wonka as a person? So from this passage, based on the way that he talks, the way that he describes his factory, the way that he kind of expresses himself here, what can you infer about him? Okay, that is your task. So let's read it through and then we'll see what you guys come up with and we'll see if any of your ideas match mine. All right, so here we go. It says, Evening Bulletin. Mr. Willy Wonka, the confectionery genius whom nobody has seen for the last 10 years, sent out the following notice today. I, Willy Wonka, have decided to allow 5 children, just 5, mind you, and no more, to visit my factory this year. These lucky 5 will be shown around personally by me, and they will be allowed to see all the secrets and the magic of my factory. Then, at the end of the tour, as a special present, all of them will be given enough chocolates and sweets to last them the rest of their lives. So watch out for the golden tickets. 5 golden tickets have been printed on golden paper, and these 5 golden tickets have been hidden underneath ordinary wrapping paper of 5 ordinary bars of chocolate. These 5 chocolate bars may be anywhere, in any shop, in any street, in any town, in any country in the world, on any counter where Wonka sweets are sold. And 5 lucky finders of these 5 golden tickets are the only ones who will be allowed to visit my factory and see what it's like now inside. Good luck to you all and happy hunting. Signed, Willy Wonka. So from this passage, from this advert, what can we infer about Willy Wonka as a person? Let's see what you guys have said. Okay, Zaraf says he's famous. Yes, definitely he is famous. That is a very good point. Okay, let's see what else. He's famous, yes. I'm just looking at other answers. Joseph, you said he's a man of authority. He definitely is a man of authority. He definitely knows that he has power, doesn't he? He's famous, yes. By Hannah, he's very specific. He just says 5 mind you, no more. Yeah, good. He clearly has a very specific idea of how this is going to go, and he's not going to deviate from that. He's very clear, very certain about what he wants. Eric, he's a genius. Yes, well, at least he thinks he's a genius, doesn't he? Yes, very good. Well, also the text describes him as a genius. The newspaper describes him as a genius, so it's a good point. Okay, what else we got? Jen has said Willy Wonka is kind, careful to ensure that only 5 people can visit his factory. That's a very good point. Yeah, he definitely is generous and kind because he's going to give these 5 children a great experience, but he's also very careful. It's only going to be 5. Okay, let's see what else. He's very strict, Ashvik. Yes, I agree. He's famous. Yes. So I'm just looking at the other answers here. He likes making puzzles and riddles. Yes, that's a good one from Asiya, I think that is. Good. He's created this little competition, this little puzzle, and he's clearly quite likes that. He likes the excitement of that. Me has said it's very careful and doesn't want people to come in and ruin his factory. Yeah, that's true. He's clearly quite protective over his factory, only allowing 5 people to come and see it. Lewis, yes, he's mysterious. That is very true. And no one's seen him for 10 years. He's clearly someone that not many people know any more about. Maybe he likes being mysterious. Safwan, you've said he's a kind man, even though he has a lot of money, he's not spoilt. That's true, yes. He does seem to be wanting to give away some of what he has as well, so that was good. Um, I can infer that he's kind to show, yeah, because he wants to show some children the secret of chocolate making. Good. And also he is rich, which is very true, because he's able to give 5 children a lifetime supply of chocolate. That is very true. Vanessa, he's thoughtful. He's going to let 5 people see the factory. Yes. Good. Okay, let me just see what else we have. He is definitely cautious. Yes, he is. See if anyone else has said anything else. There are a few other things that I think are interesting, especially the type of the factory that sorry, the type of competition that he's running. Think about the fact that he talks about Willy Wonka's being all over the world. Just having a look at and other answers, see if there's anything more. Yes, here's a good one from Jay. He's a very powerful businessman, yes. And he's questionable because no one's seen him for 10 years. Good. So there is all this secrecy, there is all this kind of uncertainty around him. Is he a like is he for real? Is he um going to like make good on his promise? We don't really know. We don't really know because we haven't seen him in such a long time. There's all this mystery around him. Here's a good one from Yusra, a good businessman. Text describes him as a genius, and he's trying to sell more chocolate. Yes, by making people hunt for golden tickets. Excellent. He's a very, you know, savvy businessman. He's come up with this competition to bring attention to his business. Okay, what else we got here? Ronak, you've said he's very kind as he's giving out very rare tickets, only if I can get them. Makes him powerful for his chocolates to keep buying them to go to the chocolate factory. Yes, exactly, exactly. He clearly knows how to get people excited. Okay, I'm just seeing if there's anything else that is new. He's quite sneaky. No one's seen him for 10 years. True, he's obviously able to hide quite well. Yes, I can infer this from FA. Willy Wonka is very precise about people coming in. He doesn't want people getting too excited. Yeah, that's true. I think he probably knows that if he invited everyone, it would be a bit, overcrowded. He likes to show off. I think he does like to show off. Yes. He clearly knows that people are excited and people are intrigued about him, and he enjoys the power that he has. Karthik, he's clever because using one letter has everyone's attention on him now. Yeah, exactly. He's doing this to earn money because lots of people will want the golden ticket. 100%, exactly. He's powerful, he's competitive, he's mysterious, he is sneaky. Yeah, exactly. So he's obviously positive, like has some positive qualities, got some generosity, and he's excited about chocolate. But there's clearly maybe another motive here. We're like, are we sure what he's up to? Why would he only let 5 people in? What's he up to now? Why doesn't he want everyone to know what's going on? Okay, fantastic. So let's see if you guys had something similar to me. I think a lot of you did actually have pretty similar points to what I had. So, I said that he's a generous factory owner. Yeah, a lot of you said that. He enjoys being mysterious and elusive. A lot of you said that as well. He kind of likes the excitement that's created around him. He also enjoys creating a spectacle, which is, I don't think anybody mentioned that, but yeah, he kind of, well, I guess some of you mentioned about puzzles and he wants this to be a big, exciting event. So, yeah, he's an extravagant person. He's very rich. He's proud of who he is, and he enjoys the attention that this is going to give him. Yeah, the 5 golden tickets is all gonna. People are going to be rushing to buy them. So yeah, he clearly enjoys the attention, even though he is also pretty generous at the same time. Okay, fantastic. So, how are we doing for time? All right. We're now going to do another little task just with some multiple choice work, so that we're going to see if we can solidify our use of inference in that sense. Now, before I do that, I just want to give you a few little pointers, bits of advice for answering these inference questions in the exam. Now, it depends on which exam you're sitting, sorry. Some questions are obviously going to be written out in full. Some you'll be multiple choice. It's gonna differ depending on the exam board. Here's a bit of advice for if you are doing written questions, as you've been all practicing just now. So the first thing you want to do is always look at the marks that are offered for each question. You want to spend about a minute per mark on inference questions, roughly. That's just a rule of thumb. Um, and if you have a inference question and they give you a certain amount of marks on offer, try and offer a similar amount of inferences as there are marks. It's a good kind of way to know that you're covering all your bases. Now, if you are not sure if the question is inference or not, you can look out for phrases like this. You can look out, what do you learn about? Or what do you know about? You know, those are questions that are getting you to look at the details and what you can learn from them, what you can understand from those details. You also might have questions like describe the character of so and so. So that's where you are looking at how they act, how they move, how they talk. Those are all the clues that tell you something about the character, and that's inference. Similarly, what sort of character is so and so? Also, if you see a phrase like, how do you know? That's very much an inference question because that means you're looking for the evidence in the text that proves that your point is correct. And that is inference, is when you are looking at the details in the text and making another conclusion from them. So, for example, before we saw that Charlie was a cautious boy. It didn't say in the text he was cautious. It said that he kept his chocolate in a box and only ate one tiny little bit at a time. That's our evidence. So we've got to make sure that we make our statement up by the evidence. And always choose supporting quotations that are directly relevant to your answer. So make sure that you're not just quoting bits in the text that aren't relevant, number one, or that make sure that quotation you choose is the best part. It's not just one that's a bit vague or it's maybe got the word repeated in the quote. Use quotations that directly support your answer. Find the best one that supports it. And on this page, I've got a little bit of an exam vocabulary for you, just as, I mean, I won't go through this too much, but if you want to use this, return to this slide and take a look at it when you are going over this work. You can use phrases like this for introducing your evidence. You can use phrases like, this is shown through the phrase. I know this because the writer says. This can be inferred because. This is evident because. This is demonstrated by the phrase. This is shown by the phrase. So you've got all these possibilities of different ways that you can introduce your quote. Make sure that you're not just writing your idea and then writing the quote down. It's got to be nice and clearly introduced. Okay, everyone. I'm now going to just finish off for the last 10 minutes or so. We're just going to do a little bit of inference with some multiple choices, multiple choice questions, and then I think that will be us for today. And then we'll move on to our Q&A session. So I'm just going to go down a little bit to this page here. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to, hang on a second, let me just make sure I'm on the right page. Just one second, I don't want to reveal the answer. I just need to make sure that oh yeah, no, it's fine. Okay, so on each of these, we've got a phrase and you've got some options and you've got to use your inference skills to figure out which one is true. So, and I've given you a little bit of a clue based on the information in the text. So let's give this a try and put your answer in the chat. You can just put the letter to your answer in the chat. So every day after work, Paul took off his muddy boots on the steps of the front porch. What can you infer about the type of work Paul does? Now, as you can see here, I've drawn our attention to that phrase, muddy boots. So he must work outdoors. What do we think? What's our answer? Okay, I can see mostly correct. Oh, hang on. I just want to make sure that I can see most people are correct. Okay, yes, good. Everyone, if you got this correct, you well done. It was D. Yes, he cuts down trees in a forest. So we're looking for that clue, muddy boots. That tells us that he must work outside. He's obviously not going to be a doctor or a lawyer, and teaching PE probably wouldn't make sense. What would he be more likely to be wearing if he taught PE? If you taught PE, I can see some of you have actually said C as a possibility, but yeah, it'd be more likely trainers, exactly. He'd be wearing trainers if you taught PE. Muddy boots doesn't really make sense. So while I can see some of you did say C, it makes much more sense for it to be D. Okay, let's try another one. Okay, so you are walking outside and go past the cafeteria door and have to step over a face down slice of pizza. What can you infer about what happened? So I've put as a little clue the pizza is face down, which means that someone must have dropped or thrown it. So what could have happened? Was it A, there was a food fight? B, someone was mad about the taste of the pizza? C, someone had trouble carrying the pizza outside? D, the custodian didn't come to work because he was sick. What do we think is the answer? I think there's actually a bit of a range of answers for this one. For this one, I actually think I can see what you guys are saying. And while I have one answer that I would say is the correct answer, I actually do think there are some other ones that could possibly be true. Okay, I think most of you have said this, although I think some of you are kind of torn between two. Okay, so the answer that I have here is A. There was a food fight. Now, I think a lot of you also said C. Someone had trouble carrying the pizza outside, which could be possible as well. But I suppose there's not enough evidence for that. The thing that makes the most sense is that someone threw the pizza. Because, of course, the cafeteria door, that's usually where students, usually in a school, you would sit down and have your food there. Why would someone be taking it outside? That's probably less likely. But there is some possible evidence for it being C. Kavya, you've said why not B? Someone was mad about the taste of the pizza. I guess just there's not enough there's just not enough evidence for that. It doesn't, I suppose, make sense. If there's a piece of pizza thrown on the ground and it's upside down as well, that makes more sense to someone threw it, rather than because they were, especially if it's in a school as well, they were having a food fight rather than why would you throw the pizza down on the ground if you don't like it? Maybe you'd probably just leave it, I suppose. So there's sort of some bits of evidence we could speculate for each of them. Fabio, you said this, isn't there going to be more food on the floor? That's a good point. Yes. And we don't have enough evidence for that. But I think most likely it would be more likely that it could be A, especially it being face down. But as you can see with inference, these are all possible things that could have happened. Because with inference as well, the more clues you have, the more clear and the more solid your answer is. So in this case, in some ways, some of the other ones could also be possible too. So if you had B or C, I can see your reasoning. I can. Okay, let's try another one. All right, so first, Lindsay put the dirty clothes that were spread all over the floor into the laundry hamper. Then she put away the game of checkers from yesterday and made her bed. What is Lindsay doing? Is she playing checkers, cleaning her room, doing laundry, doing homework? Okay, good. Lots of good correct answers. Yes. Good. Well done. Everyone's saying the right thing. I mean, yeah, from my clue, I said she's picking up dirty clothes, she's making her bed. So, yeah, it makes the most sense for her to be cleaning her room. Because, of course, she was playing checkers yesterday. She was doing laundry. She'll do that later on. She's not doing any homework. So yeah, some things are mentioned, but of course, the thing that makes the most sense is that she's cleaning her room. Okay, here's another one for you. Marissa shivered as she climbed up the long ladder. Carefully, she walked to the end of the board and looked down. Hurry up, said the kid behind her. Marissa held her breath and jumped. Where is Marissa? Think about like this clue here. She's feeling cold, and there are also some kids behind her. So is she A, on a trampoline, B, on a diving board, C, on a pirate ship, or D, at the top of the stairs? Looking through everyone's answers. Okay, I think we're basically all agreed with this. Sorry, there are so many answers in the chat. It's pretty mental. I'm gonna keep track of everything. Okay, I think we were pretty much all agreed on this. Yes, she is on a diving board. And as some of you have said in the text, hang on, this one here. You are usually cold when you're swimming because, of course, you're wearing a swimming costume. And you would also you also know that there are people behind her, so there's going to be people queuing. She's climbed up a ladder, and top of the stairs. It also says it says a ladder, so her being on top of the stairs doesn't make any sense. And then on a pirate ship, that doesn't make any sense, of course. I think the reason they've mentioned that is because I suppose sometimes you can like you walk the plank on a pirate ship, which of course is not happening here. She's clearly on a diving board because there's children behind her. Yeah, she's also holding her breath. The fact that she's on the diving board holding her breath, she's maybe going to jump into the sea. Or maybe she's holding her breath because she's nervous. Could be either. Okay, I have one final one to do. I just need to edit this page because I'm realizing I just gave away the answer. Final one. During recess, Brittany whispered something into Caitlin's ear. Both girls looked at Sarah and started to laugh. Sarah walked away with tears in her eyes. Why is Sarah crying? So, is it A, she hurt herself? Is it B, she thinks Brittany and Caitlin are making fun of her? Is it C, she's a crybaby? Or D, she wants to be friends with Caitlin? Okay, yes, I see lots of correct answers. And yeah, as you can see, I've put this clue there as well. The girls are whispering, and then they look at Sarah. So the answer for, I think basically all of you have got this correct, is B. Yes, well done. She thinks that Brittany and Caitlin are making fun of her. Fantastic. So they've got the clues. She's walking away. She's got tears in her eyes. They're laughing. They're also whispering. Okay, good. All right, so just before we finish, I'm going to give you some final tips about inference before we move on to our Q&A session. So just a few things to go over and things I've already said. When you're inferring, always ensure you have specific evidence to provide to support your claims. Make sure that it's as clear as it can be. I'm making this decision because the text specifically says this. Now you want to look in your descriptions, keywords, and dialogue. That's where you're going to find your primary clues. What is being described, what actions are taking place, what are characters saying, what are the key verbs, the key adjectives. Those are going to be really, really helpful. When you're doing a written exam and you need to infer, use a PEE format to explain your ideas, backing up the text, backing up your inference with the text. Even if it's just a short paragraph, using PEE is really helpful. Number 4, my fourth bullet point is that your evidence should be the most appropriate quotation from the text. As I said, you don't need to quote really long pieces of evidence. Try and narrow it down to just a short phrase that clearly backs up your answer. And lastly, inference is about discerning the most likely scenario from the text. So, we were speculating a little bit before about Charlie and his family. Speculating allows you to think about the possibilities, and then you want to narrow it down to the clearest and most likely scenario. So final answers should always be based on the clear evidence that the text provides. So we don't want to speculate too wildly, otherwise we might make up conclusions that actually make no sense, that have no basis in the text. So that is us for our masterclass today. Thank you everyone so much for all of your contributions and all your answers. I do apologize if I didn't get to read them all out. But yeah, that is us. So thanks again for your hard work. And we will now move on to our Q&A session now. So I will stop my screen share.
Yeah, thank you, Lois, for a very insightful and interactive session. And thank you everyone for joining our masterclass today. So I'm Ishita, I'm the business head at Pi Academy. And of course, now we would love to open up the panel for you guys. So please drop your questions in the chat if you have any questions related to the 11 plus English exam, the 11 plus in general, any doubts you might have, just drop them in the chat and me and Lois will answer them. Yeah, so let's just wait a couple more minutes. Yeah, so somebody asked, SK asked, what is key about 11 plus? So 11 plus is an entrance exam and there's many different types of subjects that are assessed. So I can just show you our website so you can get a clearer idea of this. So this is the Pi Academy website. In the 11 plus, as you can see, there's 4 main subjects that your child will be assessed on. And this helps you gain entry into the top grammar or independent schools. So it's really important that your child is really well versed on the math side of the 11 plus, the English side, as well as the verbal reasoning and non-verbal reasoning side. So we cover all of that in Pi Academy. So I would say those are the main key areas of the 11 plus if you want to get a really high chance of securing the best schools. And equally, it's really important that you are well versed with the different types of exam boards. So that's also very key. If you are looking for specific grammar schools or independent schools, many of them also have their own in-house exam boards. That's really important for you to follow. So you can check that on the official school websites as well. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Yes, so somebody asked, what do you offer for maths? Okay, yeah, that's a great question. So I'll just show you again. So as I mentioned, this is our 11 plus maths past papers range. And for 11 plus maths, we specialize in providing over 245 maths solved past papers. So Pi Academy is the only edtech company that provides the detailed step-by-step solutions for all the school past papers. So you won't find that on any other website. And we have them for all the different schools. And if I just show you one of them, actually, I will open a really good one. So this is the Merchant Taylors one. For the math side of things, we have the downloadable question paper. So this is free to download on the website, and you can even get it on the school official website. And what we offer is we allow the student to practice these past papers. So here we have a brand new mode, which is called Start Practice, and your child can input their answer and carry on the paper as they would. So for example, this, if I type one in, they can press submit and mark, and they will be guided that they got an answer right, an answer wrong, and you would also be able to see the step-by-step solutions written by our experts. And for all the difficult topics, they can also practice over 15,000 topic-wise questions as well. So again, these are all solved by us, by our experts, and we really want to create a highly targeted revision experience for children. So we have past papers and topic-wise papers for maths. I hope that answers your question. Let's see if there's more questions. So what is the key thing in comprehension, retrieval, inference, and vocabulary? So I think Lois can take that question.
Yes, certainly. So I can't see that question in the chat. Could you read it one more time for me?
Yeah, so Nikita asked, What is the key thing in comprehension? Into brackets, retrieval, inference, and vocabulary.
Oh, I see. So I think they're asking if one of those is key, or maybe which ones are key. I mean, so they've mentioned retrieval, inference, vocabulary. So those are all important. And what I would say to you, I think this hopefully this answers your question. Those are all really key skills. So being able to infer from the text and find your evidence, yeah, really important. Being able to understand tricky vocabulary using context clues is another really key feature. Like you often get asked about difficult words in the text. So practicing context clues really important. Retrieval is probably the easiest thing, but you still really need it. You often have retrieval questions near the start of a paper. They just want to see that you've read the text and that you can pick out the key facts. So retrieval really important. What I would also add to that list is literary techniques. Knowing your literary techniques is really important. Being able to recognize them and also talk about them, because another side of that is author's choice, which is where you think about why the writer has used certain words and certain techniques, certain effects. So I would add to the ones that you mentioned, add author's choice, and I would also add literary techniques. If you are solidly practicing all of those, that's you're going to be really well prepared for the comprehension. So I hope that that answers the question.
Yeah. So, guys, if you can put all the questions in the main chat, that would be really helpful rather than privately so we can all see them. Somebody asked, are the exams all multiple choice questions or mixed, written and choice, etc.? Yeah, so that's a great question. It really depends on the exam board. So for example, GEOL assessment has multiple choice questions. However, if you are looking to prioritize more independent or what we call private school exams, they have written answers. So depends on the school. Can you give tips for boys? Can you give tips for boys for QE? So the best tip I can give for the QE boys exam is a lot of practice. And I can just show you one of our products that will really help you tackle QE boys exams. So if you are looking for the QE boys exam, it's really important that you are familiar with the GL style because that is the exam board that they will be using. So on the Pi Academy website, we have a range of GL assessment and of course other exam board practice papers. So for example, this is our 11 plus maths GL practice papers. These are all curated in-house. We have sat with teachers that have taught within the best schools and we have designed these papers. So they are exactly going to reflect what you would expect in the QE exams. So for example, this is the 11 plus GL maths pack test paper 1. This is the question. Again, you can practice it online if you choose our GL product range. And we also provide the detailed solutions for all of these questions. Another cool thing that I think would definitely help people that are targeting more competitive grammar schools is we have also started some mock exams in the area. So if you are particularly looking for an excellent score in the QE Boys exam, you can for sure join our QE Boys mock exam, which is happening in May in Barking. There's a few more in different areas, so depending on the area, you can join that. And this will give you a really good, authentic experience of the QE exam because not only will you sit it with other students, there will be invigilators, but you will also get a very personalized report after you do the exam, along with a leaderboard and cohort tracking. So you can see where you compare with other students that are aiming for QE, Kent, SET, and all the different areas that you're interested in. So hope that answers your question. Okay, let's see if there's more. So somebody asked, do you do GCSE? Yes, we do have GCSE as well. So on our platform, you can look at GCSE as well as IGCSE papers as well. I will show you them as well. So if you can see my screen, we have GCSE for maths, GCSE topic-wise, as well as Edexcel English past papers, AQA, biology, and we also have GCSE revision courses. So this is really helpful for students that want more of a hands-on experience. So you can definitely take this if you are looking for a complete end-to-end guidance for English GCSE as well as maths. So yeah, that's the answer to that question. Lots of questions. Do you have any available 11 plus tuitions? Yes, we have lots of 11 plus tuitions for maths, English. Lois is a tutor herself, so you would also have the lovely privilege of being taught by Lois. Um, Somebody says, I believe the exam process for one of the independent schools we will be applying for has changed from written to online. How would you help prepare for this, as material is not widely available for exam prep for Chigwell School anymore, as past papers do not follow the new exam structure? So yes, I think our support team has given you the link for that. And I think yes, so SK said Sutton English has three sections. Which one is important? I think Lois, you would be best in answering that one.
Yes, if you're referring to the what I think you're referring to in that there is, I'm not exactly sure if this is what they're talking about, but in I know that in the Sutton in that they do the SET, I think it's the SET test that they use there, which has, I think maybe you're talking about the exam itself, as in the English test itself, which has different sections. It has a reading section, it has a comparison section, then it also has a spelling section. I don't know if that's what you're talking about, but they're all important, obviously, because you do them in the same paper. So I'm not sure if that's quite what you mean, because you have to make sure that you do well across all of them. But I would suggest that probably the hardest part is the element of that test which involves slightly different use of multiple choice, in that you have to make sure that you know exactly how you're answering it. If you're giving one option, if you're giving two options, if you're not given the amount of options, but you have to make sure that you select the ones that you think are correct. So getting used to their style of answering the multiple choice questions is quite an important thing to make sure you're familiar with. Let me just see if they've clarified that. No, I don't think they've clarified beyond that. So yeah, I would suggest make sure that you're familiar with the style of multiple choice. And also their comparison section is quite unique. They don't really have it in any other exam boards to my knowledge. So making sure that you are practicing comparing texts, and being able to read two texts quickly and then make comparisons, notice similarities between them, notice differences, can be a good it can be a good exercise to do. They said, why does Sutton do that? Well, it's their style. It's just how that board is. It's, as not many schools use it, but that is just that particular style. It's quite a competitive test, so it is a bit harder. I'm not sure if that answered the question at all, but those are a couple of things I would maybe focus on for that.
Yeah, that was really helpful. So Mia also asked, when can we start timed practice English test papers? So that's a great question, Mia. And the answer to that is the sooner the better, because as you know, these exams are highly competitive and they get more competitive each year. But to help you with that, one way you can start your timed English test paper practice is you can actually access our 11 plus comprehension papers on the website itself. So here what we have done is we have broken down all the different subtopics within the 11 plus English comprehension. And again, we've provided you with the detailed written piece for all of these. So as Lois guided you guys through inference, you can definitely practice that. And here what we have done is we have outlined the question. You can download the question paper. It's the same as the one on the platform. Here you have the passage, and we've added the questions. Now, to help your child get the topmost marks in these questions, we've provided students with a hint. So it helps them think really critically about the passage, and they can also go onto the reference. So if they are struggling, they can pop back onto the passage and go to line, say 19 to 24 to find the answer. Now, we've also added a model answer. This is written by our in-house experts, and they have given you the answer that helps you achieve 2 out of 2 marks for this question. And as you can see, we've also provided the time guidance for all of these questions, so this will really help you with your timed practice. And another key technique is the PEE, which Lois went through today. We've also outlined this for you so you can never miss it. Point, evidence, explain. And what we have also done is we've added a bad answer. Now, why is this necessary? Well, now your child knows what not to write in the exam, and we've done this for all of them. If you want a more holistic approach when doing the 11 plus English, you can also check out our 11 plus English past papers. So again, these are written by actual former independent school specialists who know how to achieve the topmost marks. So if I just open this one quickly, I already showed you guys the comprehension side, but we've also done the creative writing. Now, this is a huge critical element of the 11 plus English. And as you can see, the marks are massive in this section. So it's really important that you have timed and extensive practice on the creative writing. So for this, we have a different structure where we provide you the plan. As you can see, paragraph 1, 2, and 3. Here we also outline some of the literary devices that you can use, such as rhetorical questions, similes, and then we have also given you a really special detailed writing piece, which helps you get 20 out of 20 marks. Now, the length of this also tells you how long you should spend. If it's 20 marks, we assume you should spend around 18 to 20 minutes. So yeah, timed practice is critical. So I hope that answers your question. Let's see if there's any more. For the past or practice papers in Pi Academy, is there a timer? Yes, there is a timer. So if I just show you once again, on our past papers, we do have a timer. So for example, if I go on to this. Yeah, so as you can see, for each of these questions, we have a timer, which helps students start their practice. For example, this one requires 1 minute and 30 seconds, and so on and so forth. You can also favorite some of your questions. You also have the facility to share the question and much, much more. So yes, there is the facility to time the questions as well. Okay, let's see if there's any more questions. So do you have mock exams for Bexley? Currently, no, but we will be having them. I think the chat also answered for CSSE creative writings, CEM papers. Yes, I think the chat, can you please send the link for the CEM papers? And yes, so for creative writing, can you give tips for Henrietta Barnett? So yes, I think the support team also answered that with the links. For Henrietta Barnett, you just need a lot of practice. You can check out the practice papers that I went through. For there, you can see the GL and the different grammar school exam specific questions, and that will really give you a good flavor into HBS exam. So yes, I think these are all the questions. And yeah, another thing I would really like to say, guys, is you can use the Master 30 discount today. It's valid for another 24 hours. You can use it across all our products. That is all our products, video courses. We also have video courses and the online mock exams. So online mock exams are different to the in-person ones, but Master 30 will be applicable for that as well. So yes, okay, perfect. Thank you everyone for joining the masterclass today. And we will be sending all the lecture notes after this meeting directly to your email as well. And if you have any further questions, you can send them via email as well. Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you, Lois.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.